Goosworx doesn't deserve the amazing digital circus. Now, hold up. I get it. That is a huge statement. Put down your pitchforks. Stop telling me that I should kill myself in the comments. Let me explain. Now, I also want to say this. I'm not belittling Goosworx. I actually think that she's a very talented, very creative person. All of her projects have been amazing, and I wish nothing but the best for her moving forward in whatever she does next. That being said, something has been racking around in my brain, and it's the whole, I guess, situation of the Amazing Digital Circus, how it was created, who created it, and what basically the whole series means for all online culture when it comes to indie animation and just creativity in general. And typically with this video, whenever something is just racking around in my brain, I want to talk about it, so let me talk about it. So before we get into the statement, I think we need to understand who Goosworx is. Now, Goosworx is the creator of the Amazing Digital Circus, the biggest, high-performing, most watched indie cartoon in all of YouTube. If you haven't heard of it, you're lying, because you've definitely heard of it. Now, I've been watching Goosworx stuff since she was in the Newground days. I loved watching Little Runmo. I've seen everything she's put under the sun. So when I found out that she was making the Amazing Digital Circus, a series for the Glitch Productions, I thought this could actually be really, really good. So whenever the series came out, I liked it, I watched it. But as I was, I guess, keeping up with the series, there was this little voice called a fan base just yapping in my ear. And it was never good yaps. I'm the kind of guy, whenever I watch a show or I'm involved in a fan base, I don't really get that involved. I know I make cartoons for a lot of fan bases, a lot of shows, a lot of projects, but one thing I have a really big habit of is not getting tangled in the weeds. And by that, I mean basically just getting involved with the fan base to the point where I'm just avidly like tweeting about, I'm not like, I don't know how to explain this. I don't get like deeply obsessed with the fan base. Sure, I guess I'm somewhat part of a fan base whenever I'm watching a show like Invincible. I guess I can say I'm part of the fan base. I've made a few cartoons. They've taken off. It's great. But I would never say like I'm fully engraved in the fan base where I'm going into Discord socials or talking, going to Comic-Cons and getting involved with all the little Invincible guys. I don't know. What is being involved in a community or a fan base? I don't know. I guess there's like certain ramifications. That's besides the point. I'm yapping. Goosworx, right? This is what we're talking about. I would always hear chattering from the fan base in the Amazing Digital Circus. Either they always had something to complain about, or there were moments where they genuinely did encourage the project to be better, or to how the animation quality has improved. You know, don't get me wrong, there was good sides to the fan base, but there's a very big, loud minority in the Amazing Digital Circus fan base that not only I have recognized, everybody has recognized, and Goosworx herself has recognized this as well. And this comes back to Goosworx and, I guess, her making the series. Goosworx has admitted that whenever she submitted the idea for the Amazing Digital Circus to Glitch, that it was kind of just off the cup kind of an idea. Which, you know, is crazy. A lot of good ideas come off that way, just kind of in your head, which is crazy to think about. But whenever she submitted the idea to Glitch Productions, they took it and they ran with it. And when they created the pilot, it just exploded. Even Goosworx said that she didn't expect it to blow up the way it did. I guess everybody, when you're a creative type, you kind of like in the back of your head, you hope like this gets big, but also like there's that realism part of your brain where it's like, look, this could go nowhere. This could be something I'm putting out in the void, but at least I'm making. And since then, she's done a pretty good way of going about creating more episodes and being involved with the community. But there have been moments where Goosworx, again, I'm saying this very lightly, needs to shut up. One thing about fan bases, and I will always say this, there will always be a silent minority. And that silent minority will always be the most wretched, annoying, crybaby, complaining, just brain rot retards you will ever come into. I don't use that word lightly. I mean it when I say that. And also, it's good to be passionate about stuff. It's good to have purpose and like things. But if you let projects that you like consume you to where it affects you emotionally in a negative way, buddy, get some help. Get some help, please, for the love of God. And one thing I'm noticing is Goosworx kind of caters to this. This comes back to the title of why Goosworx doesn't deserve the Amazing Digital Circus. Again, this is not a slight to Goosworx. I love her work. I think she's a very creative and talented person. But whenever you are given the reins of running a show or running a project or dealing with something that, quite honestly, is bigger than yourself, and Amazing Digital Circus is bigger than, Goosworx has admitted this, bigger than she thought it would have ever been. Like, to the point where it has literally changed the online culture when it comes to content slop and just indie animation in general. So when Goosworx is given this responsibility of this giant project, you need to care for it. You need to cater it in a way that doesn't feed into the hate, if that makes sense. And I feel like one thing I've noticed with all the drama going on, all these different things, I'm not even going to tell you all the things that have been going on in the Amazing Digital Circus when it comes to drama. It's just been a lot of just like completely blown out of proportion shit that it's not even worth mentioning. But that's the thing. A lot of the stuff is not even worth mentioning, and Goosworx will mention it, get involved in it, kind of just like stir around in the poo. I have an opinion of when you make something, you are there to make the show and leave when you're done. If you're getting involved with every little controversy, every little, there's a word for it. I'm trying to think about it. Every little misstep. If you get involved with every little misstep, you yourself are catering to people's opinions that do not matter. In this case, the people who are complaining about these little things that are going on in the community, the whole voice actor drama, as well as Goose just being mentally drained on the project and people saying, well, be more respectful to your project when it comes to being mentally drained. It's the whole thing. I don't want to get into it. It is so stupid. The point of this video is really just to talk about how Goosworx has a very big thing going with this project. And when you have such responsibility with a project, you need to give the project your full attention and not the community. I know that sounds like counterintuitive when it comes to, well, if it wasn't for the community, you wouldn't have the project. Yes, but also, like I said, there is always going to be a small minority that tries to get under your skin. And the second you give that minority an inch, they take it to a mile. All right, let's wrap this up. What was the title of this video again? This was just another video where I'm just yapping my thoughts out because the whole Goosworx situation has just been racking around in my brain. I know there's things that she could have done better when it came to just like, for instance, not tweeting at all. But I understand that, you can't control the entire situation. And again, the fan base, the toxic people are probably the bigger problem of this whole situation. All I can say is Goosworx, don't cater to the people that hate you. And the best way to do that is by not saying anything at all. That's the lesson for today. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I actually don't know what I'm going to do. Watch the cartoon, by the way. It's a funny little laugh. I don't endorse any violence, by the way. It's just a cartoon.